Wolf, you're never going to believe this.
What?
Guess who's on the phone?
Who? Aldo?
Otto Bolden.
Oh, great. Beautiful. Put him on.
Otto Bolden, four-time medalist and working for NBC Sports. And you have had a crazy day. We really appreciate you making time for us.
Always a pleasure to be on with you guys, man. I'm kind of adjusting to my West Coast time zone now, but this is my home for the next 2 weeks, so I better get used to it.
Well, we're glad you could get us, and we know you're working very, very hard. Otto, you just left coverage of some of the Olympics qualifiers. Who are some of the athletes that really impressed you?
Well, the Olympic trials are coming up this weekend.
Oh,
but I think the names to look for are not names that are going to be entirely familiar to U.S. households. You see, what happens every Olympic trials is the old Lions try to assert their dominance over the Pride, and the young Lions try to bite them in the neck. And a lot of the names that you're going to hear in the next 10 days, the next 2 weeks at the Olympic trials for track and field, are going to be new names that have very, very ferocious bites. Probably the most of which is a young lady called Kenny Harrison, just 1 year out of being the NCAA champion for Kentucky. And she ran the American record the last time she stepped on the track in Eugene. We think that's our best chance for a world record here at the trials.
Otto Bolden, of course, you've won multiple medals, both in the 96 in Atlanta, Sydney in 2000, Sydney as well. You are a great track star. We appreciate your time, and I guess you're in Eugene, Oregon. The coverage begins now. The trials themselves begin Friday, as you said, and you mentioned these great athletes. How many, like just percent wise, do you think you would consider they would consider not going because of the Zika virus?
You know, that's something. It seems like all the golfers are taking that excuse to not go. I haven't heard a single track and field athlete from anywhere on earth talk about not going to Brazil because of Zika fears. I think it's because, if you're a soccer player, the World Cup is your biggest thing. If you're a golfer, maybe one of the majors. It's not the Olympics, but for a track and field athlete, you get remembered by how you did at the Olympic Games. So this is our holy grail. So we're not skipping it over any insects. Yeah,
that makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, if you're going to win a gold medal at the Olympics, you can make certain, you're an amateur. There's no profession. There's no track and field like the, NBA or NFL, but endorsements. There's a lot of money that could be involved in that. A lot of people don't know the names of the track and field stars that are up and coming. Do you have any concern, and are you giving any advice to the runners that are going to be going about the Zika virus or about the situation that's going on in Rio right now?
I think the way that athletes think, they look at it as, this is what's going on. You have to deal with certain things when you are there. There are precautions that you can take. But look, I just came from the Olympic trials in Trinidad. There are people down there with the Zika virus. So, you go knowing that, look, I'm going to take every precaution, but I'm there to do a job. I remember when we were going to the Athens Olympics, and, it was 3 years after 9/11, and they were like, oh, they're going to be all these terrorist attacks and all that. And everybody said, you know what? The terrorists have their job to do, and so do we. So athletes don't have that, we don't have that sort of civilian fear. Athletes have a different sort of outlook on what it is that they have to do. They're not going to get another chance. If you're 30 years old, you can't say, oh, I'll skip Rio and see you in Tokyo in 4 years, because you may not get another chance.
Otto Bolden with us. He's multiple medals in the Olympics, covering the Olympics. He's a broadcast analyst for NBC Sports. So Otto, when I hear you speak, I hear the bravery. I hear I've trained my whole life for this. A couple mosquitoes aren't going to scare me off. Do you think that the rest of us are kind of overblowing this? I mean, because it sounds like you're like, dude, it's got to catch me to sting me kind of thing.
No, I don't think. I believe. Look, people's fears are warranted, but I think the more that you turn on your television and you hear this sort of thing, I think the more inclined people are to blow it out of proportion. Is it a threat? Yes. I just feel like your odds of going there and contracting this virus are very, very low if you take proper precautions. If you go down there and you act like, oh, it could never happen to me, I think then you put yourself at risk. You know, there are ways, I think, to get around it. What you wear, what you spray on your skin. So that's the way that's the way I'm approaching it. And I think that's the way a lot of the athletes are approaching it as well.
Plus, most of the track and field team can outrun the mosquitoes.
Yeah, except when they're sleeping.
Yeah, that's true.
Otto Bolden with us right here on 104.5 The Team. Otto, Usain Bolt, is this guy slowed down at all?
No, I think he's actually going to be better this year than he was last year. People forget. His last two Olympic Games, you would have had to run 9.6 seconds to beat him, right? So he ran 9.69 in Beijing and then followed that up with another 9.69 in London. Number of people on Earth who have run 9.6 besides Usain Bolt, 2. Tyson Gay, who the javelin of all events.
Wow.
In 2012. So I took a picture the other day with myself, Richard Thompson, and Hazley Crawford. Between us, we've won 8 medals for Trinidad and Tobago, and that's like half of the country's Olympic total ever. So it's, I have a stadium named after me back home, and I'm a household name and so on. So those are one of the perks, but I think it just means a lot more when you represent a country that, doesn't bring home a ton of medals every Olympics.
Otto, after I asked that question, I realized I heard it back in my head, and I realized I sounded like such a jerk. Like, for a smaller country, I hope you know I didn't mean that. Like,
No. I get what you mean, buddy. Don't worry.
Okay. We appreciate it. Otto Bolden, he's covering the Olympics for NBC, man. We really appreciate your time. And look, man, I know you said that we're not going to worry about the Zika virus, but mosquito netting, some deep woods off, just keep yourself safe, all right?
Yep.
Just so you know, I took some off to Trinidad last week, and I sprayed it on myself and some athletes. I think that, off works on like U.S. mosquitoes, because those tropical mosquitoes, they were doing the backstroke. We got to step our mosquito game up. Guys, always great to be on with you, and have a good rest of the day.
You too. Enjoy, man. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem.